wherever you're joining this broadcast on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, mighty God, wherever this broadcast will go tonight, I welcome you in the presence of the Lord. And my topic tonight is the dangers after victory. Mighty God, that's the dangers after victory, mighty God. And the text, mighty God, that I'll narrow in on is Judges 8, verse 22 to 25. That's the dangers after victory, mighty God. And we're looking on a man in the Bible called Gideon, mighty God. We're looking on the Gideon story, mighty God. So you see, let me give you an introduction of Gideon. You see, many of us understand that Gideon was called by God and he questioned God. He asked God for a sign if he was really the one that was called to destroy the altar in his father's household, and God used Gideon mightily to destroy that which was erected. He won the battle, mighty God. He won the battle, but after that, Gideon did some stuff after that victory, and hence the title of the topic, the dangers after victory. We have to be careful after we are successful, how Satan will enter us and cause us to sin against the God who give us victory, mighty God. So let us look. So many of us, they say we prepare for battle, but few of us, mighty God, prepare for what comes after the battle. And one of the greatest danger in life is not always the struggle before the victory. It is sometimes what happened after we receive that success, after we receive that promotion, after we receive that victory. You see, the enemy knows he cannot defeat us during battle. So he will wait for us after, mighty God, the battle. He will wait for us after we have won. He will wait for us to relax, to become proud, to become careless, and forget our dependence on God. You see, Gideon is one of the greatest examples in scriptures. He started out as a humbled man who he struggled a little bit to trust God, but eventually he trusted him. But after Gideon's great victory over the Midianites, mighty God, the crack in Gideon's soul began to appear, mighty God. There was a crack in his spiritual life. His story teaches us that victory is not the finish line, it is another test. Judges 8, verse 22 to 23 said, then the Israelites said to Gideon, be our ruler. You and your sons and your grandson will be our rulers, for you have rescued us from the Midianites. But Gideon replied, I will not rule over you, nor will my sons. The Lord will rule over you. Mighty God. So you see, at first, Gideon spoke correctly. You understand? But later his action contradicted his word. The Israelites did not recognize God as the one that gave them the victory. They said it was Gideon that did that. And as a result, they wanted Gideon to be their ruler. And Gideon at that time pointed them to God. You see, my first point is victory can lead to pride. So Judges 8, verse 24, it said, however, right? So immediately in verse 23, he said, no, we'll not rule over you. God will rule over you. Immediately, verse 24, Judges 8, verse 24, he said, however, I do have one request, that each of you give me an earring from the plunder you collected from the fallen enemies. And with the enemies here, it was the Ishmaelites that would wear gold earrings. So he said he wanted gold earrings. So say after defeating Midianites, the people wanted Gideon to rule over them. Gideon had gone from hiding in winepress to become a national hero. You see, praise is dangerous when it enters the heart. So Gideon, he requested gold from the people. You see, many believers remain humbled while struggling, but become proud when God bless us. And you see why I said that. Success can make us believe we are stronger, wiser, and more spiritual than who we really are. God gave Gideon the victory, but the honor of men became a snare to Gideon's soul. Proverbs 16 verse 18 said, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. We may ask this question, how does this apply to us? What can we learn from Gideon's story? But this is it. We must never allow success to replace humility. We must give God the glory for every single achievement. And we must remember where God brought us from. Not in a bad way, but in a way that will keep us humble. Right? So we'll see what Gideon do after that great victory. So it's a victory can open a door to compromise. So we're going to look at Judges 8, 24 to 27. So he said, however, I do have one request for you. He said that each of you give me an earring from the plunder you collect from your fallen enemies. Verse 25 said, gladly they replied. They spread out the cloak and each threw a golden earring he had gathered from the plunder. Verse 26, the weight of the gold earring was 43 pounds, not included the royal ornaments, pendant, the purple clothing worn by kings of Midian, or the chains around the necks of camel. Gideon made a sacred apron from gold and put it on the uproar in his town. But soon, listen now, this is how Gideon's victory became dangerous. But soon, all the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping it, and it became a trap for Gideon and his entire family. Gideon got victory. And instead of humbling himself, the people said, will you rule over me? He said, no, let God be a rule. But immediately pride entered Gideon, and him said, give me the gold, want to receive. And Gideon know that the children of Israel, they were idolaters. They like to worship image because they never have the mindset that, listen, God is a spirit. So they always wanted a figure to worship. Gideon know that. And because God called him to tear down what the idol that Israel had in the time, the altar of Baal and Asherah pole. God called him to destroy that. And what Gideon did after that great victory, he brought back the people and back to idolatry. So God raised Gideon to help the people to stop idolizing stuff. And after Gideon won the victory, tear down the altar, destroy the Midianites, he brought back the people back to idolatry. Mighty God, the dangers after victory. So Gideon requested gold from the people, and he made an apron. So what seemed like harmless memorial become an object of idolatry. The Bible said the children of Israel, they prostituted themselves against it. Mighty God, the enemy often cannot destroy us through persecution. So he will try to destroy us through compromise. Gideon compromised what he knew. He knew it was wrong because God called him and said, tear it down and build a new altar. And instead of just worshiping God, he compromised his belief system. A person can win a battle and still lose their spiritual focus. This was what Gideon did. He won the battle against the Midianites, which was good, but he lost his spiritual focus, mighty God, because pride entered him. Not everything that follows victory is from God, because this was not from God. We must test every opportunity with the word of God and never allow blessing to become idol. And we must stay sensitive to God's voice. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 12 said, let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall. My next point is victory can lead to spiritual relaxation. Judges 8 verse 28. It said that is the story of how the people of Israel defeated Midian, which never recovered. Throughout the rest of Gideon's lifetime, about 40 years, there was peace on the land. So the land had peace of 40 years. Peace is a blessing, but peace can become dangerous if it causes us to neglect prayer and worship. Many believers, you see, we pray intensely during hardship, but become spiritual lazy during seasons of prosperity. The people that had rest, and because they had rest, nobody was seeking no wisdom, no knowledge from God. And Gideon could have tell them, give me this, and they be like apron, and they just turn right back to idolatry. If they have kept up the momentum of praising and worshiping God, fasting and all of that after the victory, then somebody would have heard from God and would have let Gideon know that, no, I'm not going to worship this. Not one of them never worshiped the apron. Everybody, the Bible said, they prostituted themselves against it because they became relaxed after the victory. And that's when the enemy, mighty God, attacks, because remember, the enemy is like a roaring lion. Peter said in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, he said, be sober. He said, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking from who he can devour. You see, we must continue praying after breakthrough. We must continue fasting after the miracle. And we must continue to seek God after the promotion. Because we need to understand this. We have an enemy that watches every single thing. He watches us after the victory because he understands the mindset of mankind that after the victory, people become comfortable, and that is true. After the promotion, we're not about to pray for get promoted on the job anymore, mighty God. We're not about to fast so the boss can favor us because we get the promotion, and Satan said, let me sit and see what you're going to do with this promotion. Let me say, oh, no, you're going to dishonor God because of this promotion. That was what happened to the children of Israel. Victory can affect future generation. Mighty God, in a positive and in a negative way. In Gideon's story, it affected the children in a negative way. So Gideon had 70 sons born to him, for he had many wives. He had also had a concubine in Shechem who gave birth to a son whom he named Abimelech. So Gideon, you see, after the victory, Gideon had many wives. And out of the many wives, mighty God, different wives he went and had. Out of the many wives, he get a son named Abimelech. And Abimelech later became a source of great destruction for the children of Israel. He became a source of great destruction for the children of Israel. The choice we make after the victory can impact our generation. We should not only seek, mighty God, personal success. We should seek to leave a godly legacy for our children. Psalms 145 said, one generation shall praise the works of another. Mighty God. You see, we must live in a way that honors God before our family. We must leave spiritual inheritance, not just material inheritance. And that's why we have to train our children about God. We must only leave life insurance policy and all of these things. No, we must leave spiritual inheritance. We must teach future generation to fear God. Gideon never do this. Victory can cause people to forget God. So Judges 8 verse 33 to 35. As soon as Gideon died, the Israelites prostitute themselves, mighty God, by worshiping image of Baal, making Baal Bereth their God. They forget the Lord their God, who had rescued them from all their surrounding enemies. Nor did they show any loyalty to the family of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, despite all the good that he had done to Israel. You see, after Gideon death, Israel quickly, they returned to idol. Gideon helped push them, and they easily went back. Because you understand the Israelites, they love idol worshiping, and Gideon, him never helped. Can you imagine God use him? Mighty God rise up somebody in the bloodline to destroy the evil altars. And before the person just destroy the altar and then just die after you go your ways after you destroy the altar, rise up somebody to continue destroying the altar. What Gideon did, him build back the altar. He built by the altar. This is so sad when you think about it. Think about your own bloodline. God raised up you and I in our bloodline to defeat the altar. And then before we pass on what God has enlightened unto us, we bring by the people them Gideon. No, Gideon wasn't a nice person. He did not practice nice things. You could never do this to your generation and feel good about it. One of the greatest tragedy in life is enjoying God's blessing while forgetting forgetting that God gave us to them. God delivered them, delivered the Israelites. He protected them. He provided for them. Yet they forget God. Deuteronomy 8 verse 11 said, beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God. You see, after victory, we must keep a heart that has gratitude. Remember God's faithfulness. We must continue honoring God when life becomes comfortable. And this was where Gideon went wrong. After the victory, he became comfortable. The Bible said he went about having this whole lot of children and having this one son Abimelech that become a snare to the entire Israelites. Mighty God, he became so comfortable after the victory. Mighty God, after the victory, we must honor God. Mighty God. And in conclusion tonight, mighty God, Gideon's greatest battle was not the Midianites. You understand? We understand what he did with the 300 men, but that wasn't his greatest battle. Gideon's greatest battle was managing the success that came after the Midianites. Gideon could have handled the success. He could have handled the plunder, mighty God, that he received from the Midianites. He could have handled it, and that was a battle that became a snare to his entire generation. Many of us, you see, we can handle the adversary, but not every one of us can handle prosperity. And that's why sometimes God will withhold blessing from many of us because we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to honor God after he has blessed us. Mighty God. God will open door for many of us. And listen, promotion on the job. And not even tithe, we're not tithe. We not give back in and not at all. Not understanding that, listen, the promotion never come from the boss looking at you and favoring you. The Bible tells us that promotion don't come from man. It's a promotion that come from nowhere else, but promotion come from God. So when we get promoted on the job and the extra pay and the increase, and we think that, oh, the boss just see me and let me, or me just a good worker. No, it's nothing like that. It is God. And we don't even return to evil, thank God. We don't even return to say, God, me thank you. When we see the testimony, then nothing that will not come get. You understand? We should be like that. You say victory is not the end of the journey. Because the same God will give us victory. We must allow God to sustain us after the victory. This is where Gideon went wrong. God gave him the victory over the Midianites. And Gideon never return to God. Make God sustain him with that victory. No, just that one victory. And then he went right back to where God delivered him from. You see, when God blesses us, we must stay humble. When God blesses us, we must stay prayerful. When God blesses us, we must stay watchful. We must be obedient and we must be forever grateful when God blesses us. The greatest danger, it is not losing the battle. It is losing God after the victory. Our greatest danger is not losing the battle. It is losing God after we have received the victory. God has brought us through many battles. He has healed us, delivered us, promote us, and bless us. And yet today he's asking, will we remain faithful after the victory? Will we remain faithful after the victory? Will we remember that it is God who have done this for us? Mighty God, not many of us done that. Mount Zion, let us recommit our heart to God by declaring tonight, Lord, after every victory, keep me humble, keep me faithful, and keep me close to you, mighty God. We must let this be something that we remember after every victory. God, let me remain humble. Let me remain faithful to you who give me the victory.